Hello, it's Andrea Goeglein, and we are now at month 5 of the Unicorn Challenge. And what's really cool about month 5, as far as I am concerned, is that we finally get to do the things that historically, especially if you had my type of personality, you wanted to do in second 1. You wanted to completely overlook what was your mindset? What kind of resilience do you have? Do you have grit? What are you thinking? What does it take to have a tomorrow mind? What does it matter where you are, at what phase in life you are? Nope, I have an idea. Let me just go ahead and do it. No, we actually know. Yeah, that's fun and that works sometimes. But when you're trying to do something that stays with you, that truly has the ageless edge, that year after year and decade after decade, whether or not you're planning for more quiet time in your 80s and 90s, or you're planning for the next thing you can impact in your 70s, or you're trying to start out in your 30s and figure out how am I ever going to get it all done, whatever all is. And what I want to say is that month 5 allows you, because you have taken the 4 months before, to actually examine who you are at whatever phase in life you are at, to allow that unicorn magical thinking, that time before people crushed every one of our dreams and told us it was absolutely impossible for us to do whatever it was at whatever age we were that we wanted to do. I think everyone at some point or another has been told, I do not know what you're smoking, darling, but it is not what you're going to be doing. Or you're not being realistic. All those types of things that allow doubts of seeds of doubt to be planted. And I will say that processes like this really taking control of first and foremost allowing you to think very magically. Like, maybe I don't have to be right. Maybe, just maybe, these big butt dreams that I have don't have to come true, but I get to just sit in the feeling of what is it like to think bigger than I'm supposed to think. What the heck harm is being done? I mean, come on. We just hold ourselves back in so many ways. And I'm going to pause for a moment. I had a realization in a real life conversation this last month that really caused me to pause. There is an organization, I don't know if it is where you are, called Hope for Prisoners. And it's in our state. And basically, it's an excellent organization that helps to my knowledge, it's young men or men who have been in prison come back into society and really live fruitful lives. And I encountered a young man who was 30, early 30s. And he told me the story on how in his life at 16, a very, very stupid thing, he took 100% responsibility. An action he took led to the accidental death of someone that then led to 10 years of him being incarcerated. And I was initially just struck by his language because his language spoke very clearly of his personal responsibility for understanding how his action, even though he was a young person, and I'm going to tell you what it was that he did. And I want you to know that growing up, know people who did this same exact thing and did not end up in jail because someone didn't accidentally end up dying. And I was struck by his language because he used a language of accountability and responsibility in sharing his story very, very nonchalantly. There was no drama to it. It was a story of him introducing himself to a group of people he did not know, explaining that when he was 16 years old, he was out with a group of friends. A car was running outside a 7-Eleven. This is a very common thing. I don't know if you live places where, 7-Elevens and convenience stores are common, but it was common in my growing up, which was a long time ago. You have to go back 45 and 50 years for me to place me where this young man was. And people would leave their car running. And from time to time, those cars got stolen. And what happened was he, and I don't know if others jumped in the car, as he was backing away, the owner of the car ran out of the store, grabbed the handle on the passenger side, fell to the ground, hit his head. A week later, he died. So this young man was basically convicted of involuntary manslaughter. That's really not the most, that wasn't the aha moment. I mean, it was in the moment of understanding how decision, a moment's decision, where you wouldn't have actually ever thought of an outcome as it did, change someone's life. And that happens in good things and in not so good things. The next thing is we were setting goals in this group. We were talking about personal goals. And at one point, he told the story on, and he's become very proficient in using AI. Remember how much I was writing in months 1, 2, and 3? Use AI to assist you in your work. Well, this young man is doing it and helping him plan his days. And we talked about how extensively he was doing it. And he had some reasons why he was doing it. But then he also said, when you come out of a system, when your basic, most primary developmental years are in a system that tells you exactly where you can be, when you can be there, and how far you can go, you aren't trained to think bigger than your environment or your circumstances. You're never trained to think very much beyond how do I survive here in the best way possible. And I paused and I thought, whoa, that is an experience I've actually never had. I remembered in my career doing group facilitations and teaching goals and telling the story about how our mindset really can lock us into our thinking. And if we have to play these games, like writing little notes on, the crazy things, the things we were doing in month 1 and 2, making those notes about how it is you're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, there's that story about the little elephant who was chained as a little elephant and grew, but at some point the chain was cut off. Someone came and rescued the elephant, but cut its chains, but the elephant didn't move because all the elephant knew was how to stay where it was. That was basically what this young man was telling me. He was also telling me how he is step by step overcoming that enforced limitation. And I walked away thinking how fortunate I have been, and I'm going to say probably you have been, that the only people who have locked us down and kept us from thinking bigger and thinking with that unicorn magic to us is ourselves. That we have not really been confined, and that we have, sometimes you have cats and they just get in the way. Um, there is clearly no confining in her life. But it is those things that we have self imposed. That's what month 1, 2, and 3 is really all about. And when you came to 4, I asked you to look at the work that came out of the big goal. Um, and really make that bridge. Like, how do I bridge where I am to where I want to go? Well, when we step into month five, you can get this little download. The link is below. I know you get the emails and then you can download them. It is really important. It's time for you to start. That's why I say, this is the step that we normally did the second we had an idea. We just started. And instead, we're trying to build the habit of constantly reinforcing it. So now it is the time for you to do those activities that build towards that one goal that you are attempting to work to. And then actually keep track of it on a day by day basis. Did I do something to help move me to this bigger goal? Did I take an action? And if not, why not? What am I going to do tomorrow? You start the cycle of accepting it is possible for you to succeed in what it is you've been dreaming about. That's what month five is all about. Taking actions, taking inventory on a moment by moment basis. Am I doing the steps? And then self and course correcting. All of that is on this page. Of course, step two, which is always one of my favorites, gotta celebrate. You must celebrate. I was a person who always preferred the celebration and wanted to skip over a lot of the work. Or other times I only do the work and would forget to celebrate. It's gone both ways in my life. And I will tell you that actually doing more thoughtful planning, doing it with an open mind as to the fact that maybe what I'm dreaming about won't come true, but at least I can push myself further than I did yesterday. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. No one is telling us what to do. We are doing this for ourselves. So, whether your desire is to build a new company, to impact technology in a positive way, to help your family be a better family, to live out your 80s in the most glorious way possible, I don't care what the goal is. What I do care is that you are now at the point where you know your grit and resilience, you know how to nurture yourself, take the steps. It is not about succeeding. It is about doing what it takes in order to succeed. And then continually checking, see where you need the help, and keep going from there. So for now, I will leave month five at that. Get started. You'll be interested. Month six will be our last time together. You can always come back to these videos. But I will tell you that this month is the month where what you did the first 4 months actually gets used over and over again. And yeah, you do start a whole lot closer to month one with this month five type of stuff because you are constantly embedding the magical thinking and the playing and the keeping the ideas and checking in on your own resilience and grit to see where you are and seeing whether or not your mindset is in that tomorrow mind type of place where your thoughts are about what is possible versus what has been and what you've lost. So I am Andrea Goeglein. This is month five. Get your download, do the work. Please contact me. I love to know how you're doing. And know that I am doing this for me, and I've had some really cool progress, and I will report on that in month six. So I will see you next month. And until then, reach out respectfully and know that I am thinking of you and hoping that your magical thinking carries you through to a better day. Thank you.